Hey, welcome back to the Printing's Alive podcast, where we talk everything print, and that's everything, anything print, anywhere in the world. And we are here just to promote print and the printing world, because without print, there is no world. Today, we got a great guest. Today, we have Jessica DeCola joining us from GPA Papers where are you out of?
Our headquarters are in Chicago. That's where I'm stationed.
All right. Out of Chicago. Actually, Chicago, great printing city.
It is. Midwest is a massive hub for digital print. I think probably one of the more saturated regions of the country.
I think that's why they used to have all the graph expos there, right?
That's right. Every spring.
Cool. So quickly, how long have you been in the printing world?
Goodness. Well, I've been with GPA for 7 years. And prior to that, worked in thermal films and print. So probably 10, 15 years.
Oh, nice.
Yeah.
Nice. You don't look old enough to be in it that long, but hey.
That.
You learn how to say all the right things as you do this, right? Long enough. So you've worked in two different companies. Let me just ask you outright, as a woman in a man's industry, in an old man's industry, how's it been for you? And be honest.
Be honest. You want me to be honest? Okay.
Always.
Always. Yeah. You know what? I think it's interesting. I'll say that. And that's being, you want me to be honest. I think it's been interesting, but I think it's exciting. I think it's challenging. And for me, I love a good challenge. But I also think that you're seeing this new wave of younger folks, of more women in leadership positions. And so to be part of that transformation is really exciting. You see a lot more women. I'm going to totally plug Devin Springston from Branded by Woods, president, CEO, woman-owned, women-led company. Rose Marie over at Blooming Color. You have all of these women that are kind of breaking through this glass ceiling of the print industry. And so while it has historically been this male-dominated industry, and it still is to a certain extent, I think you're starting to see it evolve. And that, for me, to be a part of it is very, very exciting. So.
Oh, cool. That's nice to hear, right? Yeah, we got to get more young people in. So if there's young people listening, get into our industry. It's really good. It's like a giant video game, right? What are you doing at GPA?
Director of Marketing, specifically communications. So anything social, anything event related. We just launched a brand new initiative in the last couple of years. We're part of the Fedrigoni Group, which is based out of Italy. That really focuses on sustainability and getting that messaging out to our industry. Because as you know, you talk to hundreds and hundreds of people in our industry. And I feel like there are three silos of folks who, when it comes to sustainability and how they think, and there are the people who are, super invested in it and recognize the importance of it and are taking strides to engage in initiatives and implement policies and procedures in their organizations. Then you have people who say, just give me a couple buzzwords. And, here we're doing one or two things just to make sure that we can say that we're doing something. And then people who quite frankly don't give a crap. And they just are kind of like, you know what, I've done this for 50 years. I've done this for 60 years and it's served me well. And I don't need to get on board. And so I think for us, and part of my passion project over the last couple of years in my position is simply bringing awareness to what sustainability is and what it means for our industry, because it's not just recyclability and the environmental part of it. There's a massive social part of it that I believe so strongly in, and I think people need to be more aware of.
Yeah, I'm just sitting here and my head is kind of spinning because the whole sustainability, it does have so many different, sections to it or factors to it, and the doers and the not doers. And I only wish that more people were on the same page. The people that want it are willing to pay a little more for it, because too many people that want it still give work to the guy who hasn't done all of these sustainability initiatives in his company.
Yep.
So we needed to start. Listen, where I live, and I've said it before, I don't recycle my garbage. Why?
Yeah.
Not because I'm lazy, maybe a little, but more so because I know that the garbage company is not recycling it.
Right.
So I'm not going to take my time, energy, and separate and all of that stuff. If I knew everyone was doing it, it's not about the fine they're going to give me for not doing it. It's about wanting to participate in what's really happening. And then there's the whole greenwashing. So
Yeah.
for me as a printer, to be honest, when I had my company, excuse me, everything that we would try to buy was as clean as possible.
Sure.
The paper, most of the paper today, or a good part of it, is FSC or PEFC or SFI or one of those acronyms that we don't all remember. But that was good enough for me to tell our message that way, to be honest with people. I used to spend the money on the certifications.
Yep.
But after a while, nobody even wanted the logos on their product because they took up space and they were ugly.
Yeah.
I mean, to be real, right?
Sure. Yeah. But I think you literally just walked into my entire, shtick here is it's not just about the environmental part of it. That is one pillar of what sustainability means. Because at the end of the day, sustainability also includes your people and your culture and sustaining a workforce that wants to be present, and making sure you're taking care of them. It's about people and planet. So I think at the very core of any good organization is the culture and the people. And if you're not taking care of your people, then who cares about your product? Because you're not going to have people to run your business.
Oh,
and so I think there's different sides of it. And so, to your point though, everyone thinks about the FSC and the ESG and the SGP, all of the acronyms. There are thousands that go along with the environmental part of it. But I think for me, the part that I'm super passionate about is the people part of it.
Yeah, well, you mentioned the people and the culture. So I guess for me, I don't put them together, because when I had my company and we started it and I was doing what I was doing, it was people and culture first. So by the time sustainability became a something,
Yeah.
I had a great team of people. So it was like, I'm more concerned with people first and then sustainability.
Sure.
And if you have good people, you just want everyone cleaning up and picking up after themselves. I'm not going to worry about who believes what they believe, because I already got enough things on my desk to worry about.
Sure.
As long as everybody respects the system and the process that's put in place,
yep.
And I don't see them throwing garbage out the window of their car when they drive away, then I'm good, because it's a fine line to push. And how many things can you ask of people within your company? So my first thing is always, you try to get the right people in best possible.
Absolutely.
You always treat everybody right. People work together more than they spend time with their families. And it's not really a big effort for everyone to be kind to everyone.
No, it's not. But it does exist, right? Those things do, like unfair policies or, not everyone has an amazing culture. I mean, I'm thankful to work in an organization where I love coming to work. I wake up, I enjoy my team. I enjoy who I work for. I love what I do. And I don't think everyone can say that. And so when you laser in on what, from a global standpoint, what ESG means, I'm throwing another acronym out there, but it is that holistic view of what makes people and planet successful, and that's at the core of it for me is the people. But you're right, not everyone runs a business like you, Warren.
Well, it's not even like me. Obviously I did something wrong because I'm not in it anymore. But along the way, everything that I did, I tried to learn from others that had done things better than me.
Sure.
And I mean, I learned early on in life, everything is about the people. Not only that, we're on this planet for a short time. Let's make the best time. I really try to minimize the aggravation in my life. I don't need more than I already have. And even that I don't need.
Yeah.
Right.
No,
and I try to do that. And I try to keep that in mind with other people, not to create more drama. Right. It's like, that's what TV's for, drama.
That's exactly right.
Right. But but sustainability is important, and we have to own it, because the end customers are pushing it also.
Yeah. I mean, the giant brands, and that the brands and that chain of custody and who your supply chain partners are matters to those brands. And
I need the brand. I need
the best printers are working for, right? Are these brands.
Right. But if the brands are listening, you need to own it and pay a little more, because it costs money to do that. Correct. Period.
Yes.
And the funny thing is, everyone complains about certain pricing, but I don't drink coffee, right? So I'm pretty one of the odd few, but I don't understand how people spend $6 on a coffee to get their name on a cup. every morning.
I'm a tea drinker, so I'm
Well,
with you, Warren. I drink tea.
I'm a tea drinker too in my Yeti cup, which is stays with me all day. I just keep refilling it.
So,
But yeah, but people, and every industry it's about the people, so you want to do it right. So that's cool. So one thing I wanted to bring up, because everything else we talk about, everyone else talks about, but you and a couple other folks started a LinkedIn group, and the LinkedIn group is it basically shits for brains, right? If
so
I give you the English version,
something like that. Sheet paper, sheet for brains. Yes. So myself, John Bailey from Precision Proco, Dave Rosendahl from Mindfire, and Chris Min from Infigo. When we got together last year at D-Scoop, John Bailey got up on stage and he kind of he gave this beautiful, very vulnerable, heartfelt speech about giving his board chair position, handed it over to David Bennett over at Bennett Graphics, and it was a very authentic moment, and one that after the fact we kind of came. Dave, Chris, and I came back to our booth spaces where we were exhibiting and said that was really powerful. There was something there that resonated in terms of vulnerability and mental health and wellness and just being transparent. And we get back to the people part of things, right? I mean, like the people at the core of it. And we kind of took a step back. And over the next 2 days, individually, we'd all had conversations with John at some point at some social event somewhere. And after the fact, we had this. Oh, it was an almost 2 hour call, and we said there's something here that we can build around mental health and wellness as a pillar of sustainability from the social perspective of it. And so we created this grassroots group called Sheet for Brains, and I we're super proud of it. We've had 3 sessions where we've brought in different types of professionals to talk about resilience in the workplace. We've talked about our last session was with Man Up, Man Down. They're a UK podcast group that focuses on men's health, and we talked about suicide awareness. All very, very sensitive topics, but ones that are really important to talk about.
they're
Um,
real.
they're real. It's real, and it's things that people want to talk about or are afraid to talk about. And so we created a private LinkedIn group page, obviously Sheet for Brains, and we've got quite a few people there, and we kind of post different articles and things for people to think about. But also, it's a place where people can come and just say and express whatever they're thinking, whether it's I'm stressed out because work is was hard right now, or I'm a working mom of 3 and shit is hard right now, and I just need a place to like talk about what it's like to be a woman in the print industry and a mom of 3 kids and the stress that is. And it has become a really, really great place. I mean, we partnered with D-Scoop in Long Beach this spring, and we're going to have a trade show booth there just simply to bring more awareness to it. We have another session lined up for April that we'll share and kind of a release next month. But it has become something incredibly powerful. We have folks from all over the industry, from every walks of life, private messaging us, asking us to be a part of the group. The Women in Print Alliance, Elizabeth Lyons Black, she did a feature on the group. And so, it's something that's gaining momentum, but I think something that this industry really could benefit from and is benefiting from on a small scale. You talked about how this print industry, the industry is male dominated. It is. Men don't talk about their feelings.
I do.
Okay, but you're not the normal, Lauren. You're not. But I mean, in the kindest and most amazing sense.
Oh, by that, I've been told lots of things. Don't
But
worry, I have thick skin. It's okay.
but I mean, but the fact of the matter is people don't talk about the things that are really important. And if we can't build a culture that's open and inclusive and accepting, then to our point when we were talking before the cameras came on, what the hell's the point of it? If we can't be those people. So yeah, the 4 of us, I mean, we're going strong. It'll be 1 full year this spring, and we're super pumped about it. It keeps growing and evolving. And I don't know, I couldn't, it's the proudest thing I've ever done in my career.
Well, hats off to everybody who started and who's involved in it. I think it's amazing. Um, I've always been pretty open talking about things because I don't know where that comes from, but it just came. And I always know that when you talk about something, you feel better after, you feel a little lighter,
Yeah.
even if nobody responds, just to let it out. But when you could let it out in a group or, and then you're getting feedback or you're listening to other people, and it's nice to know that you're not alone,
Yeah.
right? Too many people sit there. We look at so many people. You're looking at me. I mean, I look, well, you just said I'm not normal, but I look relatively normal like a human being. But you don't know what's going on inside, like inside the spot here, right? It could be filled, it could be hollow. I hear some water. Maybe there's a fish in there. But it's really tough. It's really tough, and I'm amazed. I've always been part of business groups, entrepreneur organization, and then some peer groups. And
Yeah.
within groups, you get into different kinds of conversations. And then some people, as soon as a couple people are really open, you see those that have a harder time opening up.
Yep.
And then you feel good because you got them to open up, and then they feel good because they opened up. But the more people around you, makes it better. And then I found that people that keep everything inside, it's hard for them, but it's even hard for them when they work, when they're with other people, right? Because they're always thinking of something or stressing out. And I went through my own miseries a bunch of years ago, and hired an unbelievable life coach, right? Who's really a life coach. Today, you see they're offering certificates to be a life coach on every social media platform. That doesn't cut it. You need to have some real experience. And I give her credit for putting me in the headspace that I'm in today.
Yep.
Right? Because I'll just tell you quickly a couple of things that I learned. The main thing I learned in the beginning was our thoughts become our beliefs become our habits, our actions. Same thing. Most of the time, most of our thoughts are not even accurate, but we keep spinning with them, right? So you have to ask yourself, is that real or is that true?
Right.
And the minute you say no, put it in the drawer and move on.
Right.
Because when we feed our subconscious, right? And that's not like I'm trained in this stuff. I just paid a lot of money to learn it on my own experience. But when you learn that your subconscious is really there to take you down.
Yeah.
So it's not promoting you and pumping you up inside. It's giving you all that other stuff. Right. So when you learn about asking yourself, is that true? Then you move on and you make better decisions. And then you have to make some new habits. Right. And you have to make conscious efforts to, I believe you have to make conscious efforts to try, because no one's changing for you.
Right. No, absolutely.
Right. It's, tell me if you have any stories with no names of people, of course, but like of just something really cool or amazing that's happened or something somebody said.
Gosh, I mean, we have like I said, it's grown exponentially in the last year, and we have folks from every different kind of walk of life. And like I mentioned, our last session focused on specifically men's health and suicide awareness. And it was a very, very powerful session. I mean, it's because it's things you don't talk about. I mean, you don't recognize that someone is on the verge of suicide until it's too late, right? Or they attempt and they weren't successful, and then you have the opportunity to try to help them through that. And so, we had one of our Sheet for Brains members reach out to us after the fact and say, this was incredibly powerful. Not only did I lose someone to suicide in my life, but it wasn't very long ago that I was literally on the verge of it. And I didn't know that I wasn't alone. I felt very alone in that moment. And this group here has made such an impact over the last several months. And just knowing that there are people out there that are experiencing what I'm going through, that I have a sounding board to kind of connect with people who are like-minded, who understand the pressures of our industry, the pressures of being a leader in this industry, and on top of the personal things that you have to deal with. And we've received several notes like that after we've had certain sessions and things. And so for us, the mantra for us has always been, It's not about the mass. If we can reach one person and that person feels like they've benefited from it, or they feel better about themselves or their place in this world, in this industry, in their own personal lives, then we feel like we've done our job. And it's, it's not a paid thing. I mean, we're doing this. I mean, we're creating all of these things, me with a glass of wine at night, we're writing press releases and, kind of putting these things together in our free time, because we so strongly believe that it's so important to have these kinds of spaces. But little things like that, Warren, have brought us to tears, because you don't know the power of voice until something like this happens.
Yeah, I'm thinking there's a couple things. If I go back a bunch of years ago, I had one of my best friends. I was actually best buddies with two guys, and I was with one of them, and we were going skiing actually that day. And the phone rang in his car, and it was someone saying that our other buddy tried to kill himself
Mm.
that day. And and as it happens, it was he cut his wrists and then he threw himself in a garbage bin behind a church, and it was so cold that he didn't die. He lived because the blood didn't flow.
Jeez.
And then then the hospital, and then whatever. In the end, he tried a few more times and he succeeded. Maybe fortunately for him, because he felt what he felt, but there's the whole other side of people having to deal with it that didn't know and haven't ever been through it and never knew somebody who's been through it. And it's just wow. I'm sitting here and I got a little bit of the shakes when I think about it, because I don't really go back and think too deep into it, because it's hurtful. But I'm thinking of the people who are affected by it,
Definitely.
right? That should be part of the group, just to hear. There's a lot of people who are not their fault. They just don't know, or
Right.
no one's ever spoken about, right? And I like the idea of reaching more people, because as you reach more people and people feel it could change the way they act in their own lives towards people.
Right.
You could be an angry guy, and there's lots of angry guys out there. But all it takes is something, maybe something small and meaningful to give you a different spin on life, and just make you appreciate things a little more. Because I know and I'm not so righteous, right? But I have enough thoughts that keep me pretty grounded most of the time, right? And so no, I love the whole thing. I mean, wish I sat on all of them. I sat on a couple of them, and I'm sitting there, and people, when they're talking, I just want to start banging in whatever I've been through, whatever my experience, whatever I'm feeling, just to share. I love when people share with me their stories, right?
Yeah.
They're meaningful.
Yeah. And that's the whole point of this community, because, if we can't be open and vulnerable, and again, it all stemmed from D-Scoop last year when John was vulnerable, because you don't see that. You get people get up on stage at these conferences and these conventions, and they give very scripted speeches about whatever topic it is that they need to talk about, right? And he got up there and was like, screw these screens. I'm going to talk about these three things that affected me and impacted me in the last several months. And it took courage to do that. And it was like the perfect segue for us to kind of grow something like this. And so we're super proud of it. Dave and I, when we first started this thing, Rosendahl, and the four of us got on a call and we kind of looked at each other. I'm like, okay, we can't be vulnerable with each other, the four of us here, then this isn't going to work. And so we got on a call. It was after work hours, and we're all sitting there and we're staring at each other on screen, and we're like, all right, who's going to go first? And Dave and I are like, we've been in therapy for years. We'll start. Like, we're not quiet about our journey. And Dave and Chris, or I'm sorry, or John and Chris kind of they leaned back and they said, therapy's in a pint of beer, in a pub down the block. We don't talk to people. That's not, and we start talking, and they're like, oh, well, we've got this, I talk to this guy once a month, and, he's kind of like a life coach, but we talk about all these different things. And we kind of leaned in and said, that's a therapist, right? You talk to a therapist once a month. That's not a life. And there was this light bulb that said, okay, yes, and when I talk, I feel better about myself, about my place in the world, and about, life. And so It was in that 2 hour call where we kind of just unmasked everything, and it was this beautiful moment. So, but yeah, to your point, I mean, if when one person talks, it just kind of waterfalls, and then other people feel more comfortable talking, and it unfolds into something that people may not have realized they needed when they walked into the room.
So I think everybody needs a therapist,
I agree.
right? I've had therapists, psychologists. I haven't had a psychiatrist yet,
Well,
but I've had like the therapist and the life coach, and it's just wow. It's I mean, you just what you hear yourself saying, how you feel after.
yeah,
And I've got some amazing friends, but you cannot. You want to talk to someone at any time you're feeling anything where there's no bias or judgment.
yes,
That's the trick.
yeah.
If you feel, you don't talk to your friends because it's not a safe room,
Right. Well,
right?
because there are things that live deep inside of you, right? That you're afraid to unearth because you fear judgment and you fear that they won't understand where you're coming from. But I 100% agree with you. I started my therapy journey 30 years ago, and and it's maybe not quite 30, but either way, 25 years ago. And it's a place where you can say whatever you want, without judgment. Chris Bears Brown, he was our second speaker. He's the up in your Elvis. He's been a speaker at a couple of different D scoops. um, Remarkable speaker, but he and his team just created this app. It's called Talk It Out, and it's almost like a self care therapy app. So you download the app and you just talk into it for 20 minutes every at the end of the day or every Friday, and it transcribes it for you, and it like sends you back this feedback about kind of, because once you start talking, it kind of unearths your subconscious, and you start talking about things that you might not otherwise have thought about initially. And it's a very, very interesting, very cool app. But it's the same thought, right? You're speaking to someone without judgment. You're not speaking to anybody. You're speaking to yourself and into this app. But what it does is it allows you to get that out. And so it's kind of a cool app. But he was our second speaker for Sheet for Brains, and introduced that to the team. And we had a few people feedback, and they said it was really, really helpful, and they're continuing to use it. So again, just providing people with tools and resources and a platform to have this safe space, was our goal. And it'll evolve and it'll transform, but for right now, we're super happy with where it is.
Yeah, no, I like it. You said the people, for the people that come, like, and then speak to the crowds. Those guys, girls, they're amazing. But
Mhm.
I like watching the crowd and watching people's faces
Yeah,
as they're listening, or how they're softening up, or even a tear, because it means they're thinking.
totally.
And I think all that stuff just makes us better, right? Gives us a little bit more feeling, a little bit more compassion, a little bit more understanding of the person across from you, right? And yeah, it's a huge. I've been meditating for 4 years now,
Wow.
which I could barely sit still. If you don't notice, I'm always moving around. That's the ADD thing kicking in.
How
But
often do you meditate, Warren? How often do you meditate?
sorry,
How often do you meditate?
every day.
Okay.
Now, some days I miss. Why? Because I'm getting up early to go fishing, and you can't meditate at 5:30 because your brain is racing. But pretty much every morning, try to do it first thing. Get out of bed, hit my spot. I have really nice meditation cushions, actually, that I was going to do a meditation cushion business and started. So I have a few left over, some high end home decorated fashion cushions. But I go sit down there, and the crazy thing is, the days I don't are the days I think about it. Not because
Yeah.
when you do it for so long, and the people who think that you meditate and you go and you move around, well, I don't go and move around. I'm doing guided meditations because they're easier to follow. Your mind does go sideways, which is normal. You bring it back,
Sure.
but it gives me my 20 to 30 minutes a day where my body's at peace.
Yeah.
And I'm not, because the minute it's over and I start my day, It's just you got to do this, you got to do that, you got to do that. I put up little notes around that I try that they don't become part of the wall.
Yeah.
But to be little reminders of certain things.
Sure.
The biggest thing, and you're all going to probably laugh at me, but you need to remember to breathe.
Yeah.
Right? Breathe. You got to breathe during the day. We all do it. I try not to do it now, but we all do that. And that you get into a situation, it's like, no. Breathe. And it took me a long time, and I get like hit on the head 100 times.
Sure.
And then I find myself in my car, and I just came out of something, and I'm wound up. And I'd sit down, and I get in the car, and I would just take in 3 deep breaths and let them out. And after, I was like, oh my God, I don't feel so edgy anymore.
Right.
Now, I wasn't saying I was running around, jumping up, kicking my feet in the air, but I eliminated a whole level of unnecessary pressure, stress, angst, call it what you want, just from the breathing.
It's an incredibly powerful exercise. I used to do yoga religiously a long time ago, and then I got back into it about 3 years ago. And I don't go as often as I want to. I mean, kids, life, like work, puppy. But it's the same thought. It's the breathing, and it's the disconnecting, and it's just pausing, and it's shutting your brain off for a second from all of the minutia. And so it is. Yes, I would love for you to come on to Sheet for Brains and do like a meditation session. That would be amazing.
We would just sit there, close our eyes, and listen to the breathe.
Close your eyes and breathe. And randomly keep your eye open to see if anybody's actually doing it.
Yeah, and it's funny because in the beginning when I started, I would sit down and I'd be like, no one's there, it's just me, but I'm like,
yes,
is it a joke? and what I did actually was a friend of mine, he's the Breathe app. Like him and his partners developed the app Breathe.
I don't know.
So when I was first going through whatever, and I was chatting with him, and he flipped me a subscription for a year. Right. It was him and his ex-wife that started it. Actually, my friend's sister. Anyways, he gave me the app. And when I sat down and I decided I'm going to do the 12-week of learning, right? Because I got to follow somebody. And it starts off like week 1 is 4 minutes, 8 minutes. And then she's talking. The hardest part when I sat down, and you're going to think it's funny, but I sit down and I start and the person's talking and all I'm thinking is, oh my God, how am I going to listen to her? It's my friend's sister. So it took me 2 weeks to get over the voice and put her out of my head. But she was great. And the app Breathe was great. And you don't have to do it on your own.
No.
And then they have single apps, daily apps, programs, running. My first thing was 12 weeks every day. Never missed a day. Why? It's 30 days to form a new habit.
Yep.
Right? Learned all about forming new habits. Try to get rid of the bad, but you got to do something and be consistent. And the funny thing is now, I just think about things that I'm not doing when I could be doing them.
Sure. Yeah. And I think that it all weaves in together with mental health and just that component of it, right? Because if you're not mentally, I mean, the implications it has to your physical health are massive. Stress to your physical health is massive. And so if you're not taking a moment to focus on yourself and your mental health and wellness, the physical part of it is going to follow suit. And so whether it's meditation or it's running or it's yoga or it's whatever floats your boat and helps you find that peace. People say they find peace in running long distance. I can't run a mile to save my life. I hate running.
So I have people that run. One day I said, you know what? I'm going to take up running. Just start. Good. Put on my shoes, left the house. I tripped on the sidewalk right outside my house. That was the end of running.
Good.
It wasn't for me.
Yeah, no, it's not for me either. I ran track in high school, Warren, but I sprinted. So I can run very short distances very fast, but I cannot run a mile to save my life. So
sorry, I was going to say that's funny because I did track in high school too, but I only did it to get out of class. And I was doing shot put and discus.
Oh, goodness. Oh,
just because. Yeah. And I even did cross country skiing. Anything to get out of class. I was on every sports team. Some good, some not.
Because I genuinely enjoyed it. I just can't but there are people who find peace in those long distance runs. And that's great because again, it's all linked together. The mental health and wellness, the physical part of it, and just it's just all
So you mentioned running and stuff. That's the other thing that I've seen. There's a lot of people who don't have any hobbies. I was gonna say habits, and I mixed habits and
or
hobbies, like a
habits,
hobbits. Sound like Lord of the Rings. But there's a lot of people who don't have hobbies, and
right?
I'm seeing that in a lot of older people.
Sure.
I mean, I'm not so young, but maybe a few years older than me. And I would recommend to everybody, find something that you like to do, and it doesn't matter. Like, I go fishing, and it really at this point doesn't matter if I catch fish or not. Yes, it does. But when I'm out there, as crazy as my brain is and bouncing off the walls all the time, I can get out in the front of a boat and stand there for 8 or 9 hours,
Yep.
and you don't even know I'm there,
Yep.
right? And then when I'm not on the boat, everyone's like, "Oh, would you shut up already?" Right? Or stop moving, or whatever you're doing. And so everybody's got to find that space. Some people run, some people bike. Listen, you want to knit a sweater. It doesn't matter what you do, but I think um, you're not as settled in your inner self if you don't have something that you like to do on a regular basis. And that's not gaming or TV, because that shit has other.
Exclusively yours, and it's you're doing it for your own betterment, and it has nothing to do with anyone else except for yourself. That's self-care. Absolutely, everyone needs
So
something.
yeah. I'm thinking of you, and I'm thinking of John and David. Do you folks?
And Chris,
I don't even know guys, girls, what words to use anymore. So I'll just say you folks. Like, do you guys have anything in your companies that address any of these issues for people, or conversations, or discussions, or safe rooms, or let us know if something's up? Or
yeah, I think you know what, I think that each of our respective companies do, there is something there. I mean, I can't speak specifically for the others, but I know that I mean, they're leaders in their organization. They're very focused on making sure that their teams are have these opportunities to engage in things like Sheet for Brains, to make sure that they are taken care of from a culture perspective. And the same here at GPA, right? I mean, we have spaces in our headquarters where we kind of have offices all over the country, but we have those spaces. We have leadership that believes in work-life balance. We have an HR department that provides resources and things like that. I think this is an extension of that for our organization and for theirs too. We try to get our internal teams involved in Sheet for Brains as much as we possibly can. Again, it's a private group, but it's everyone's welcome, right? We just,
right.
for the safety of, and I say safety, very loose, but for the safety of people's thoughts and input, we have it as a private group on LinkedIn because we want
As it
people,
should be.
as it should be. But everyone is welcome, right? It's not an exclusive group. It's just a private one. And so, yes, I think each of our respective companies strongly believe in these efforts and have things incorporated into policies and programs within it to make sure that the culture uh, remains one of inclusivity and openness and transparency and support. I think is the biggest thing.
Yeah, for sure. And what I like today is going on today is, as everyone's gone through the transition of working in hours and days, and with the younger folks and everything, and I hear a lot of people saying, "Oh, they want to do this, they want to do that, they don't want to do that." I'm going to be honest with you. I kind of like it. When I think back, now, not that their heads should blow up and they could think they could do what they want. I'm just saying in general. No, I kind of like it because I remember, finishing school, going into the workforce, wherever I was working, it was like 6 days a week. They expected me to come in on a Saturday. Paying time and a half wasn't that popular back then, making deals on the side for people, work, work, work.
Sure.
Well, you know what? The fact is, we're on this planet for a short time, not a long time. We got to make it a good time. And if you look at a 7-day week, right, we should only be working 4 days and fitting it all in, and then having 3 days of life. I mean, I'm going up on like almost 40 years of having the Sunday night blues.
Yeah.
And that started
A
when
lot of
Boomtown
people
Rats
have
came
that.
out with I Don't Like Mondays. Like I think it was around Farm Aid. But every Sunday night, I don't want to go to bed because I don't want to wake up. It's Monday. And I know it's okay. It started a long time ago. And,
Conditioned to
I
think that
have to
way.
bring that up with my therapist. But, right. But all that stuff, and it had different pressure on our parents and everyone's will to want. I mean, life's expensive and we want things, but you got to prioritize what's worth what these days and not get
Right.
carried away.
Yeah.
Right. I've also learned along the way what the other person has really doesn't matter because it might not be what I need.
Right. Right.
So
I
find
mean, really
something that you
prioritize it.
need.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's just everything is so rushed. So I think companies have to find ways to accommodate people. I remember when I as an owner of the company, I mean, I missed many dinners at home,
Yeah.
which was probably better because of less screaming. But the offset was, as the owner, I never missed any event for my kids' school. Like I
Right.
took off during the day to go and run, and I recognized right away that the people in the company can't do that,
Yeah. No.
right?
No.
So, but I think today that people should be able to put in when they have some of those events and we find a way to
Absolutely.
accommodate them
Absolutely.
because your kids don't remember you for dinner every night when you're trying to get them to relax when they're in the witching hour,
No.
right? But they remember where you go and what you do for them.
When you show up and when you show up.
And unfortunately, a lot of that is 8 to 5, Monday to Friday when they're at
Sure
school.
is. Talent show practice today, Warren's from 3 to 4:30. So, it's, mandatory dress rehearsal. I get it, and I think, and I hate referring back to this time that everyone hated so much, but I mean, I think that along with the next generation of people in this industry, and I think just in the workforce in general, on top of what COVID forced people to do in terms of work from home and versus being in office, what that did, I think, is it allowed for leadership to recognize that people can be just as productive if they're working from home, and
Right.
they are much happier when they have a little bit of flexibility in their schedules. I mean, for me personally, if my team is doing what they need to do, then I don't then work from home or work from the office. We have policies in place that we have to be here for a couple of days a week. But from my perspective, if you're getting your sheet done, then there's nothing to talk about. If you are able to pick your kid up from school at 3 o'clock and then plug back in or make sure your work is done, then you're getting your work done. And I
It's
think that
getting, sorry, it's getting the work done
correct.
because hours don't mean anything. People
Right.
could sit at their desk and look like this for hours and do nothing.
Yeah.
And I don't know why it makes some management happier to see them sitting there than not.
Yeah.
When you give people the respect, in most cases, I think the respect, the freedom to make it happen.
Absolutely.
We learned that in COVID. They make it happen.
Yeah. No, I
Right?
agree. I agree.
Wow. Man, I can go on and
All right.
on and on with this. It's, oh my God, it's such a good conversation. It's real life. That's the best part about it, right?
Yeah, it is. It all boils
Wow.
down to just self-care and work-life balance and centering yourself.
Everything in moderation,
That's right. That's
right?
right.
Everything.
Yep.
Wow, so cool, so cool. Oh, okay, we're gonna have to plan another one,
Yeah. Yeah.
right? So
That'll
what I'm gonna do is when this gets posted and it's out, I'm gonna put the LinkedIn group in there for people
be
who want
awesome.
to come check it out.
Yep.
Encourage people to check it out. I think it's really good to put your story out there. And I'm even thinking maybe somewhere down the line we could have maybe a little conference somewhere.
I love that. I think it'd be great. I think long term, that's what we're thinking. We want this to evolve into something that's not just virtual, right? We're kind of exploring what that looks like in terms of structure. And if it does become much bigger than the four of us can handle with our day jobs, who else can we involve? And we've had quite a
I'll
few.
help.
Well, thank you. And we'll lean on you, but who else we can involve and what other support we can have to make sure that this is something that is successful, because we've seen the feedback from it over the last 10 months and it's been tremendous. And so again, if we reach that one, we've done our jobs. But
Listen, we just know from COVID, because that brought out the
oh
mental
my
health
God,
aspect,
yeah,
right?
it,
It was there before. It brought it out. Everything on the internet was there before. The internet pushed things, some
yeah,
good, some bad, but all to the forefront, make it easy.
yeah.
But no, I think so important. So yeah, kudos to the four of you for creating that. I think that's probably could be one of the better things to come out of Printing United.
There you go.
Not that Printing United wants to hear me say that, but I'm talking
D
from a
Scoop. It
mental
was D
health
Scoop. It was D Scoop that where
or D Scoop.
it was birthed at D
Where it
Scoop.
started. These okay. Now everyone's gonna be mad at me because I messed that up. But so what?
We love both.
No, we do, and we all do everything for both. So that's
Yeah,
good.
yeah, we do everything
That's
for both.
cool.
Yeah.
Awesome. So wow, you gave me a lot more to think about.
Go have fun with
Thanks.
your therapist this week.
Next week.
Next week.
Can't do it every week. It gets expensive.
No kidding.
But highly recommended to people, right?
Yeah.
It's all good. So wow, yeah. So great session, Jessica. Thank you so much for joining us. We're gonna do it again. We're actually, you know what? One session. I want to get the four of you on
Yes.
one podcast.
It's dangerous. The four of us can't.
That's okay. I'll give you. I have the mute button, so it's okay, and the timer. So that'll be cool. So if you guys are listening, you'll be on. Everybody else, I hope you enjoyed the podcast. I try to change it up, try to do different things, just life, business, what we do, people. If you have any thoughts, ideas, something you want to hear, something you want me to do, somewhere you want me to go, if you want to be on, anything, just reach out to me. Love to chat with you. Again, Jessica, thanks so much. Everybody else, keep tuning in, and let's do it again. Have yourself a great day.